Welcome back to Newsday. Joining me live in the studio is the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, now the Shadow Cabinet Secretary Andrew Wallace. October 7, a sombre day. We saw just before the break the opposition leader meeting with one of the survivors of the attack on Israel, the brother of Galit Carbone, the Australian who was killed.
Danny Meisner.
Danny Meisner. As we reflect on this day and we see that appalling graffiti that's been now wiped off and cleared, but the Prime Minister describes it as abhorrent. He's right about that, isn't he?
Absolutely, he's right. And, the authorities should throw the book at these people. They should be investigating all forms of CCT to try and identify who these people are. We passed laws at the beginning of this year in relation to hate crimes and vandalism, which have carry mandatory minimum sentences between 6 months and 6 years. So the individuals that have perpetrated this appalling graffiti should absolutely have the book thrown at them, and they should do jail time.
October 7, do it again. That sort of stuff is just disgraceful. And when you reflect on the sort of atrocity that was perpetrated on that nation, on that people, the worst slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust.
Kieran, I travelled to Israel just 2 months after October 7 and I went and saw Kibbutz Kfar Azar. I watched the 43-minute video of the most appalling acts of extreme violence, and I have to say it really just changed my life. Not for the better, I'd have to say. But the appalling atrocities that were conducted by Hamas. But you know what? The media doesn't talk about this very much. In fact, very rarely. But after the initial waves of attacks in southern Israel, when Hamas came through and slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, they took 250 hostages, they raped women, killed children. There were waves of people coming in from Gaza into southern Israel, looting goods and property from throughout southern Israel, all the kibbutzim. They would have been stepping over dead bodies and stealing everything that wasn't nailed or screwed down.
There's a question as well, and I heard one of the family members of a hostage saying there needs to be a full reckoning on the Israeli side as to how the intelligence failure was allowed to happen. This is a country that has the capacity to assassinate via pages to also assassinate someone 3 months prior by planning a bomb, and then having that precision in terms of how they can target enemies to not have the ability to stop the hang gliders and so on. That basic security that you would expect of those communities, that there is going to be a day of reckoning, isn't there, in Israel?
There will almost certainly be a day of reckoning, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has consistently said that there will be full and thorough investigations once the war is over as to the utter failure of the intelligence agencies.
He's been accused of prolonging it because he doesn't want that day to happen.
He has been accused of that. But my trips over to Israel have identified that there were junior military personnel who were feeding that intelligence back up through the system, saying that there is mobilisation going on the border. We need to be prepared for this, and that information was never acted on.
No, it's a terrible day, and I know for many Australian Jews it's a terrible day to pause and remember the atrocities of October 7, and then the trauma that it's led to in Gaza, beyond that, and obviously Hamas has a lot of accountability to share on that front.
Absolutely.
As well. But in terms of the intersection between the Middle East impact and how it's being received in Australia and elsewhere, how it's feeding into our own discourse, has it made anti-Semitism worse?
Oh, look, there's absolutely no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt that anti-Semitism has significantly increased since October 7. not just in Australia, but in many other Western countries.
Is it because of the IDF response and the number of civilian deaths? How would you characterise it?
Well, interestingly, Kieran, the rise in anti-Semitism occurred just a couple of days after October 7, long before the IDF went into Gaza. You might recall, if you go back to your memory, the IDF mobilised in southern Israel, did not enter Gaza for about a month, and yet anti-Semitism was on the significant rise just 2 days afterwards, and we saw what we saw on the steps of the Opera House.
Andrew Wallace, just finally, before you go, I should touch on the Optus story. It is going to be a big focus this afternoon in question time, and Anika Wells will be the target of your questions, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but look, that's the beauty of our parliamentary democracy. We have a thing called ministerial accountability. Anika Wells failed in her previous portfolio, and she's making a hatchet job of this one as well. The reality is you can't just rely and say, well, I'm still learning this portfolio. When you're the minister, you're accountable, and we've seen 3 or 4 deaths as a result of the Optus outages, and this is not just a failure on the part of Optus. This is a governance-related issue. The government sat on a report for more than 12 months and didn't implement the recommendations of that report. So the government has a lot to answer for.
Andrew Wallace, thank you for your time. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks, Kieran.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.